Tasmania's Deputy Premier and Treasurer Michael Ferguson resigned from Cabinet yesterday. The state government lost the ability to defeat a no-confidence motion in Parliament over the handling of the News Spirit of Tasmania Ferry's fiasco. Joining us live with more is Matt Denholm from the Australian newspaper. Matt, good to see you. Thanks so much for your time. Never a dull moment in Tassie politics, it seems. This certainly sounds like a big blow for the government. What happened?
Yeah, look, it is a big blow for the government. It's a minority government, and the reality is they don't control the House of Assembly, and a majority of the House of Assembly decided they wanted to get rid of the Deputy Premier. He was Treasurer and Shareholder Minister for the TT line ferries, and there's been a long-running saga whereby basically the procurement of 2 new ferries has run years over time and hundreds of millions of dollars over budget. And at the same time, somehow someone forgot to produce or build an adequate wharf for the new ships. So it's been a disaster from woe to go. And 18 of the 35 MPs indicated they'd had enough and wanted him to go. So last night, late in the day, he fell on his sword and really, yeah. So his career, which is 20-year political career, is if not over, has certainly had a major hiccup. He's on the backbench now.
And so, Matt, how is the Liberal government managing to prosecute the rest of its agenda? Where are things up to with the new Hobart Stadium proposal? How are they managing this tricky parliament that they've been given?
Yeah, look, it's difficult. They have only 14 seats in the 35-seat assembly, so it's it's a day-by-day proposition, I guess. But look, they're trying to get on with things, and generally the strategy seems to be if they think the numbers are against them, they'll actually adopt things that the Crossbench wants, or in this case, the Premier came out yesterday morning and made it clear that Ferguson would have to go if there was a no confidence motion that was successful. So that kind of precipitated Michael's decision to resign. So really, they're just being very flexible and accepting that they don't control the numbers and trying to get on with their agenda as best possible. But they've been in government for a long time now, and there are a lot of issues and problems. You mentioned the stadium; it's highly controversial and very divisive. And at the same time, it's going to cost a lot of money. A lot of good things going for it, but it is going to cost a lot of money. And the state is already being plunged deeply into debt. The debt is, more than doubling over the course of the next 4 years of the budget, to a point where, people like Solly Slake say it will end up being comparable, if not worse, than Victoria's on several key measures, including, per head compared to gross state product. So, yeah, they've got their work cut out for them, and they keep getting beaten up in Parliament. And so Tassie now has a new Deputy Premier, Guy Barnett. They've kind of turned to an old hand, another former federal politician, same as Michael Ferguson. He's kind of he's a social conservative, but he's probably also a team player. So I think he's a fairly safe option. But the Premier still has to choose a new treasurer in the next few days. And that could be Guy Barnett as well, or he could opt for another former federal MP in Erica Betts, or he could take the Treasury portfolio himself, as some premiers have done in the past.
Gosh, sounds like they're facing plenty of headaches. Just one of them is managing that crossbench that you mentioned. Much was made after the election of the Lambies, Jackie Lambies, the candidates that ran under Jackie Lambie's banner. How are they faring in the Parliament?
Yes, well, there were 3 Lambies and now there's one. Andrew Jenner is the sole surviving Lambie. The other 2 have turned into independent. They kind of, I think things have settled down after that initial angst, I guess. And essentially the 2 ladies, Miriam Beswick and Rebecca Pentland, they really couldn't deal with Jackie's level of involvement and what they saw as interference in state affairs. It's a very fledgling party, and they hadn't really sorted out who did what on state and federal issues and the separation of those. Which is an issue for all parties that exist in more than one state. So really that came to a head, and so yeah, 2 of them are now independents. So there's now, I think, 5 independents in the Assembly, and the government needs to get 4 of them on board to pass legislation and just to survive on a daily basis. And really, for example, the key trigger for Ferguson going was an independent, David O'Byrne, deciding he thought that Ferguson should go. So that was enough, really. If you don't control the numbers, you have to listen to the crossbench, and that's a reality of the system down here. You have a Hare-Clark voting system that's proportional representation. So it means you've got this very fractured parliament. Some people like it; they think it's very democratic. But it does make governing quite difficult, and does mean that there are lots of things to write about, which is great for journos, but it's very difficult to run a stable government in those circumstances.
At least they're all keeping you very busy there at the Australian. Matt Denholm, really appreciate you joining us. Thanks so much.
It's a pleasure. Thanks.